at Longwood, and Longwood is situated at the edge of the Lanner Moors in East Lothian. And this is my assistant gardener, Emma.
Hi, I'm Emma and I work at Longwood as well, and I also work for Trellis.
Right, well today we're going to have a look at lots of fruit around the garden, but mainly we were going to look at apple trees and pear trees and pruning thereof, or at least some of the pruning. We're going to keep it quite basic, but one of the most important things I think in a garden, as all gardeners will tell you, is the keeping sharp of all your tools and especially keeping them very clean. And what we like to use is a spray of methylated spirits, partly because I find it easier to carry around the garden, but some people use a rag with white spirit, and between each plant you would clean up your tools. So I even clean the sharpening tool. Okay, so we have with us a file, a lovely little sharpening tool which is super to carry around, which also has at the other end a file which I don't particularly like the sound of, but it's very good in awkward spaces. So what we would do is we would sharpen our tool and then we would give it a spray between each of the trees or plants, roses, whatever, okay? And that is one of the cardinal important rules of gardening, is to keep your tools sharp and be clean between each plant. Okay, so that's what we do. So we have loppers, we have a pruning saw, and we have various sizes of snips and secateurs for those awkward little places, especially when you might want to prune out some spurs. Come into the blueberry cage, and this is a separate cage that we keep with, particularly with more acid soil for the blueberries. They like it. They are quite particular, and because we are in a woodland setting and the ground is quite acid anyhow, it wasn't a hardship to just add a little bit of peat, but also a lot of our own homegrown compost in the area and a lot of leaf mould. So it's time, we're in, what month are we in?
January.
We're in January, and so between November and January it's a good time to prune up any crossing branches on the blueberries. So what I'm going to do is look at some of the older wood and any crossing wood and anything that's broken in here. So I'm looking at this one in the center, and it's quite a bit older, and it's also tangled and through. And what, like with most fruit bushes, you're wanting quite a nice cup shape, okay, and not too much crossing and rubbing, like for instance that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for this older wood and cut it out. I'll probably use loppers to do that with. And also you can see all these snags. You'll want to trim these up, if I can do that. And we have all these tiny little fussy bits. They're snags, and you just would tidy them all up all around the bush, anything that's dead. Okay, and here we have a particular, and it's also got a bit of mould on it, so you wouldn't want to keep that. So I would probably trace that back down and cut it out as well. Also, I can see another bit of damage which I would like to deal with now. I think possibly on this narrower one, a clean pair set of secateurs, and because you can see the mess of this, if you follow up all the way up, and it's all tangled up around here, so I would definitely take this out here. Okay, if my hand can squeeze, and that's a clean cut, and that gives you space. Now here you can see you've got dye back on here. Can you see that? So I would take that right down to the bottom. Oh gosh, there, cut an angle, but that's not come a clean cut. So I would, excuse me, I'm going to have to crawl in here and take it better. There we are, so it's cleaner. Now, also probably a better angle would be needed at that, so I could go back and do that. But I'm looking at this one in the center where it crosses and it rubs and it's old wood, so I'm going to take that out. I'm not happy with it. So you could either saw it out, but I think it's a bit too tight. So I'm going to try and go in here with my clean, sharpened lopper. And have you got it? Yeah, there we are. Watch your eyes now. We might have to snip it
So it doesn't take anything
so
else
it doesn't
out.
take anything else out. Gosh, the wood's quite hard. So that's,
There we are.
so that's one. So also you can see lots where it's crossed and it's rubbed. So I would take that out to open it up. And you're just looking around slowly. And that, because it crosses over there, we take that out. We have it settled there. It's just practicing, and that one's coming out across there at an angle, and take it out there. Now we have rubbing on this one, which is unfortunate, but because these are got good spread there, I'm going to take that one out. But I'm also seeing that on this older one, so I'll take this one out because it's crossing, and next year I'll probably take that one out and let one of the newer ones come up. So there's a bud down there. It's a bit of a tangle. Oh. Get your arm in where it's comfortable. There we are, and cut at an angle. So we've opened it up a bit more. Now you just look round. This one is crossing here, so I would take that one out as well. We're looking like most fruit that's a bush shape to make a cup shape. It's just like that. You're just trying to open up so it's more open in the center, and then air can flow around, and that way it stops a lot of disease. Now this one I think I would also take out, because that will bounce around. Okay.
Is that crossing there?
Yeah, what you're doing, you see, if you follow it up, but if you look at the one at the bottom,
Yeah.
it's also, now you have to decide, would you want to keep that one for next year? I'd keep that one for next year, but take that one out. So can you go in with your snips? There's longer pointed.
So this one here.
Yes, and take that one out at an angle. There we are. And that will free that one up, and it shouldn't rub too much. Okay, but there again we've got this disease at the top. I don't know why it's done that. What I'm going to do is I will take it to an outward facing bud, may I? So that it's not going to rub there, but it'll grow out that way. Gosh, you see? Is that a decent, not too acute an angle? And there we go. And that should grow out and up that way.
And we're looking for the outward facing buds, aren't we? So
Yeah,
that it carries on with the cup shape,
Shape.
not growing back into the middle again.
Yeah, and to stop so much of the crossing. So I'm not going to take too much more off, because you'll get all your berries off these. So any more crossing? What about that one?
Yeah.
So I'm looking for a bud that's going to go up. I mean, I could cut out the center one, but I'm going to want that for next year. So what I'll do is I'll take it to that bud and see what happens. Okay? And again, I've got more dead over there that I'll go round, but we'll do that. I'm just showing you roughly how I deal with these poor plants. Whether there we are.
And the blueberries have got these supports, haven't they, to stop the fruit from going.
We decided to put these rose rings on. I know you get a bit of rub, but it is better than the weight of the blueberries pushing them all down to the ground, and they do have a habit of dropping off the minute they're ripe, you know, hence the bark underneath. It's quite clean to try and pick them up off there too. So, but yes, I see we've got an awful lot of rubbing, but I'll watch that. I think we'll be okay. And I might come back to this one and do a little bit more. It depends on how fussy you are. We have a lot of fruit in this garden. So we have the blueberry cage, and well, what we do have is the goji berry. Now, we're new to goji berries. It was only handed to us last year to plant, so I put it in its own bed, but we're not sure truly of its nature. I've got a lot to learn. So we've discovered that it sends out quite a bit of growth, and it's really quite a crazy plant. So I'm going to put this on a frame at some point and tie it in, just so I know and can get used to its habit, but I don't want it to go mad because it's everywhere. So I think some of these I could think about pruning back to a nice bud, and then I'm going to try and we've got this lovely framed rebar, it's called, and it's a grid, and it's wonderful to use for tying on your plants. So I'm hoping to do a corner, okay, and try and keep it under control. But I'm new to this goji berry, not too sure how it's going to perform. Okay, so
one to watch.
To watch. And so now this is an intriguing one. It's of the currant family, but it's called a chuckleberry. Okay, and it has like a three-way cross. Now I need to try and get this right. It's a red currant crossed with a gooseberry, and a black currant and a gooseberry cross, and the cross again. I think it's extraordinary. But they taste just like blackcurrants.
Oh, nice.
So it's just another, and it's virtually. So again, we treat this exactly the same way as we do the blackcurrants, although we were particularly hard on the blackcurrants this year. So I'll take you over to them. We've thoroughly cleaned them out, but I'm going to finish the cleaning out and take out some of the dead wood, this older wood. And again, trying to keep a framework of an open bush. Okay, so we had an awful lot of old wood on this. So when we were picking the berries, we pruned out a lot of the stuff then, but now is the time to finish the job and clean out the centres, okay, of any of the dead wood. So we have 2 black currants, and then we have a red currant, which you treat slightly differently. This you get berries on, I think, the 1st, 2nd and 3rd year, whereas it's 2nd year growth on the red currant. Now what I'm going to do, it's quite a busy bush, this red currant. It's really vigorous, and if I had known better, I would have tried to have grown it up a wall like an espalier.
Oh, nice.
Because of its nature. But I didn't realise you could actually do that with red currants till I saw it in a walled garden. But you see, we've got a lot of old wood. I did prune up some because a lot of it gets quite soft, and the weight of the berries and everything will go down to the ground. But I've got a lot of 2nd year growth and also some older growth. So I'll go in and I'll prune up anything that's broken, and just like the others, same as just to clean out and open up. So I've got a lot of crossing. So that one, say, I would sacrifice that. In fact, I'd probably take it right off up there rather than keep that, and that will leave that free with an upright. But we also have that coming up the middle here. I would take that out because it's in there and crossing, and I've got a reasonable shape. And then next year I will take the old wood out here and here, and I'd use a saw to take that out with. Okay, and I'll reshape the bush again, and then I'll have at least some more growth. But we had to take some of the tips off here because we had, I think the disease on this was called bud blister. and I think it was an insect that introduced it. Okay, but I think I need to check that. Okay, and so what we did was we cut all that off and burned it, and it seems to make such a difference to the plant. Again, you always make sure between all the different plants you clean your tools between every bush, which is so important. So that's we've got redcurrant and blackcurrant here. And shaping them to the wall. They're very young, they're only 3 years old, and yet we have had so many pairs from them. It's amazing. This is a twin tree. It's got a conference and a common pair on it. So one, as you can see, so they're grafted onto small stalk down there. Okay, do you want me to uncover that for you?
It'd be quite good just to see the graft where the join is.
Right, which has to be kept above, the graft has to be kept above the soil level. Okay, or your graft will start sending out its original shoots, and it will take all the nutrition, and your grafts would die. Okay, so we're training them along, and we were just having a good look at all to see all the new fruiting spurs that we could see all popping up. It's quite a good one to see. So it's these little juicy fat buds. There's lovely. They're going to be wonderful, and they're higher up on the stem. But we're having to also check, when we check for this, we're looking for any disease or anything on these. So we've got quite a cluster of spurs there, the pairs. So I'm really pleased with that. So we should have a few more, but again, 2 different sorts there. And this is a Red Williams, which is, it's a fantastic pair. So we have lots and lots of fruiting spurs. And these are the things that give the flower and then will be fertilized and give us the fruit. So those are the things we want to protect. So again, we have a branch there that we would prune out now because it's crossing and going to rub. And sometimes if you have too many spurs, it's going to get too crowded. Like, I would probably take that one out as well. Okay, so I don't know about this one. You see, we've got them and they're crossing, so I'm not too sure if I would actually snip that bottom one out and the center. Yeah, but we have an absolute wonderful array, and they're not too crowded. This one I would definitely take away behind here. That's going to rub.
It's rubbing on the wall, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And round behind that main stem, the leader. Yeah. And what we'll do is we're going to take it as far as that wire and then stop it and use 2 side laterals, hopefully, and bring it along to the top, along either side of the wire, a bit like we're training this one along. So we don't always obey the rules sometimes, and don't send things out of the right space. But if you get them when they're soft, but you see we've got a dead one up there, I would prune that off. It's coming out. Can you see it? Yep. That would come out and tidy it up. So there we are. We have these funny circles around our trees at the bottom. It was to stop all our birds dust bathing and digging away around all the base of the trees. It's also a weed suppressant, and we could feed the trees as well. So once we put all our mulch and fed them, we can still take off the top layer of slate, and we make sure they're weeded, and then they are well and truly fed. And also the birds can't dig it all up. So this is, I think this orchard has been in here since at least 1975. A lot of the trees were planted too close together, so we have difficulty in trying to keep them aired, you know, because a lot of them end up growing together. So we've been looking at what might need pruning back. So we would be pruning at this time of year. Say we were taking a main branch off, and then you would treat it with a wound seal, like a borax or something at this time of year if you were doing a big cut. But we have already, I don't know if you can see the cut ends of all the lateral branches, the growth of last year. We cut it back in the summer to about half the length that they had grown. But now we would start and do our shortening process, okay? And also looking to see what spurs we have and if they're overcrowded, okay? And we've been looking at the trees and seeing where we've got some buds that are on the ends of our branches. So that's a bud that will come and give us fruit from the tip of the tree. I'm not sure, most of ours seem to be full spur and not a lot at the tip, you know, so it's not too bad. I can't tell you the name of any of the trees because they were here before me, and I think the plan of what was planted where has long since gone. We have lost a few trees out of here, thank goodness, because it was overcrowded. We have the grease bands. These mucky things are grease bands that we put on from August and leave them. And sometimes we just use the grease to paint around as well. And it's to stop the moth climbing up and laying its eggs. The winter moth and the codling moth? Yeah, into the buds. And then it will develop in the developing fruit. The maggot would develop in the developing fruit, and then you'd have, well, just beastie attack is what you'd have.
Hard.
So, but we've never had that, dear. It's something that Pam and Ross always did, so I've always kept it up, you know. But it's a mucky thing to do, a sticky thing to do, not pleasant at all. So yeah, so we were looking. So we've been working on the shape of our trees to keep them cut so they're not too badly crossed at the top. So we have a vast amount of spurs on all of these. As you can see, the swelling buds, can you see them? Okay.
Yeah.
You see, they're all going to be fruiting, fruiting spurs. And here's a few more if you just want to go around. So, you see, a lovely fat one. So we were looking to see if there were any that needed thinning out, that were in a poor state. For instance, look at this. We've got a lovely fruiting bud up there, but all this needs to be trimmed away. It's untidy. And this you would take away as well. And we've been looking for disease like canker as we go around as well. Again, important to keep all your tools clean between each tree. So this is what we've got, a very messy state of affairs. Round here we have a vast cluster round here of spurs which really needs pruning out. You see them? We have such a conglomerate here, but I'm not sure that's healthy.
So they're all rubbing and you'd end
They're
up
all rubbing, but you would take the
getting in.
lower ones. Try and thin this out and have them more spaced out. This is really untidy. But these are the important ones. Yes, you see they've all sort of grown and tangled round one another.
Yep.
So we would separate that out by pruning. But we have, see, this is what you like. You want a bit of air around and this shape to keep them open. We have clean air here, so we're covered in lichens as well, which makes it quite difficult to see all the clean spurs. They're not clean, they're covered in lichen. But that's
You can
okay.
see them all there quite well.
Can you
can't
see?
you? Here.
Yeah, see all the lovely?
All
Now
there.
these they're going to fatten up, and these are all your fruiting spurs. Your flowers will come out of those. And these, here's a nice one. Now here's for instance, of a bud at the end. Okay, there's a fruiting bud at the end. Can you see that one?
Yeah.
That's quite nice to see. But a lot of the branches have already been pruned back. So, and these are your leaf buds. These longer ones will be your leaf buds for next year. And there's a fruiting bud there. Right. So we have a nice open tree here. This is really the classic shape you want, with nothing coming up the middle and everything coming out. The only thing is, looks a bit spare now, but it'll be covered in flower and all the rest of it. Again, we've been noticing we have bits of disease on some of these, canker, so we have to be very clean with our tools when we trim up, okay? Especially up here. Can you see up the branch?
Oh yeah.
And here?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got some gnarling, it's all knobbly there. You see it? It's dry.
Just come in.
Yeah, that's disease. So I would sacrifice this probably, you know.
And we always burn anything that's diseased. We don't put it in the compost.
And that's this old wound seal where we've cut a branch and we've sealed it over with our borax, and that's all, and it's done its job. It's stopped any disease entering. So the other thing we try and do is keep them shorter, because they've got a habit of growing too tall and it's not manageable. It's not safe to have to climb too high up a tree. So I would say about 7 or 8 feet is as tall as you really want your tree. These were all as tall, you know, a lot taller when I started working on them, but we've been slowly reducing them in height. This is as tall as you ever want them to get. In fact, I'm going to keep bringing this down. Okay, yeah. So because it's quite dodgy going up and down ladders, and you've got tools in your hand, so you have to think of the safety aspect too. Yeah. You know, at least I do.
Yeah.
And not being too tall either. If you're overstretching, it's not good. You know. So yeah, trees about this height
Would be ideal.
I know, that would be ideal. So, and again, you see, they're closing in, they're too close together. We ideally should have had at least this between all of the trees, you know.
And that's to stop the disease
Spreading
from tree to tree.
I know, it keeps the air between, and also underneath when you're feeding trees, you know, they'll be fighting for nutrition, the pair of them. You know, at least that's in my opinion. That, you know, so hence we can feed them by doing this thing around. But they say that you should be feeding your trees as far as the canopy goes. Okay, so say you were to do blood and bone meal or even your wood ash or whatever. But again, the compost, the good feed, homegrown compost is in there, so that's fine. So yeah, you can see all the lovely spurs on here too. See these? Different type of tree, but it's really clean as opposed to the one that was covered in the lichen. So they're particularly good. They're lovely.
Look at that one. Orange.
Oh yeah, look how far on that one is.
Here.
Nice. Exciting.
Yes, it is exciting.
Okay, so here we have a bit of disease. Okay, so I would not keep that. Can you see it?
Yep.
So I would cut that out. And because I'm not sure that it's going to have a decent cluster and a spur under there, can you see? I'll try and cut that out.
Okay.
Okay, so carefully. Oh,
It's all right.
okay.
You missed.
And this, you see, it's just, now you see I'm not happy with that. That looks like canker in there, so I'm going to cut that
Very
out.
brittle.
Do you see?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's obviously disease somehow. So, or if it has been canker, it's dried off, but I'm not happy.
Better off.
Better off
Than
that
not.
one. Yes, I know. So they say if you've got too many underneath to open them up. But again, look at this. This is crowded. So again, I would take that one out. Oops. Can I see what I'm doing? Now, there, it's more open. and we've got a cleaner area. It's about not being too greedy either and overburdening the tree. That's a new growth, so I'm going to leave it like that. And again, looking, oh look, there's an older.
Do you want me to try with the...
Oh,
there we go.
there we are. And the reason I've taken it off is look, it's not looking too good in there. Okay. So what we're doing is we're letting the tree show us what it's got, what we might have to take back, but mainly leaving all these lovely pink spurs, flowering spurs, and that's where you get your fruit and your blossom, then your fruit, which is really
Would
good
you
fun.
prune this bud
Now you
back?
see, I'm looking at it right now, and yes, I would prune that back, and I would take it to a downward facing one. Okay, how's that? And that'll neaten it up. Okay, and this is going to keep forming spurs, but there's a one that can be got rid of. It's actually quite, make your eyes cross, a snag. Now you see there's a bud at the end, so that's fine, I would leave that there. You know, the buds, the flowering buds at the end, so I wouldn't cut that off. But this one, I would take that back to about there. So, but again, it's
So shortening the laterals,
yes,
providing they don't have a bud at the end,
yes, because
and then crossing branches are definite out.
snags are out. Snags are what I call
Keeping
them.
all the little pink buds,
Yes, absolutely.
because there are fruit, and anything that looks diseased or
damaged or crossing. Ones, and there's a spindly one. Now you see, although it's got a bud at the end, I wouldn't keep that. I would take it back to there
Because it looks so spindly, it's
uh-huh,
not
it's
going to be strong enough.
crossing, yes, and that one can come out. And then I would tidy all this up. But I'm looking at this branch, checking it for canker, but it looks okay. And this one I'm going to take back. Hang on, outward facing one, Sandra, remember what you told everyone. All right, there. I'm happy
and
with
what will
that.
this do over the next couple of years?
Beg your pardon, that will now produce spurs. Okay, this area will produce spurs all around here, but I would thin that out. I won't keep that one. Okay, sorry Emma, we're all...
So you're always thinking ahead as well.
You are
You're
as well.
creating spur growing potential,
Absolutely.
as well as looking after your current spurring that is evident.
Well, what I'm going to do is cut this down to an outward facing bud, or yes, that's nice. And what I'm hoping is that will now start and form the fruiting spurs. I forgot my words there. And again, I'll do it here because it's swelling here. So I've gone round that lot, okay? And hoping to produce some more fruiting spurs like this one, okay? It'll all start, you can see the swelling parts, and that'll encourage them all to get going. Having walked around the garden today, we hope that you find something that will be easy enough for you to grow, and trust me, it's very easy to grow. Enjoy.